Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's another night, Wednesday, after another big Eagles win. We here, a lot to talk about, a lot to preview for next week. But as always, it's your boy Cool McCain, and I'm joined weekly by this guy over here.
Of course, Wyatt from Cinema Trip Reviews and Squad Pod Sports, ready to talk some Philadelphia Eagles football.
Major week, man. A lot happened, a lot to be excited about, and we will be digging into a lot. But before we get to that, the mood needs to be set. So with no further ado, hot fire's coming your way.
Is spotted. The kick is away. And the kick is... It's gone! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
That doesn't get you ready to talk Eagles. You're part of the wrong fan base. Point
Yeah,
blank.
nothing will.
But yeah, man. So Wyatt, amazing, huge game on Sunday. The first time that the Philadelphia Eagles are seeing Carson Wentz on another sideline.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I was able to go to the game. There was a constant chant every time that the Commanders had the ball on offense of Carson, like unanimous. And I had to paint the proper picture. 2/3 of the stadium was Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Yeah.
There were buses, right, of people coming. Where I was sitting beside two Commanders fans, and they were like, "Oh Lord, can y'all switch seats? Do we have to sit beside this Eagles fan?" I was like, "Yeah, you do." So it was a great experience, man. We had chants going. Every sack there was a EAGLES Eagles chant. There was a fly Eagles fly for every score.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man. It was
like a
it was
home
everything you
game.
could want. Yeah, it was
Like
everything
you're
you
at
could
the
want.
link.
If you're a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles at the game, man. I got a chance to meet some Eagles fans, took some pictures with some Eagles fans. Unfortunately, didn't get to get together with the big group because we were supposed to meet up at halftime. But it had gotten warm at one point, and apparently my phone had gotten so hot that it shut down.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. So I didn't get as many pictures as I wanted. Didn't get to meet up with everybody at halftime, but it's okay. That was poor planning by me because I should have made sure I knew earlier. So I'll take that L. But shout out to all the content creators that were there. Your man Lord Brunson was there. I saw some of his videos.
Yeah.
I actually pounded him. I don't know if he remembers me or not, but I actually pounded him when we were walking around. I seen him. But it was real hype. It was a real crazy situation. So probably not, but I just remember seeing his face like, oh, that's what you call it. But I didn't really have a chance to talk to him at the time. I saw a couple of other Eagles creators as well, man. But it was great, man. As we walked around outside before the game, all you heard was EAGLES Eagles. And boy, those Commander fans, boy, they were not happy.
Oh, I
They
bet.
were not happy.
Yeah, I mean, Philly fans just they travel very well.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter where you at, doesn't matter what part of the U.S. There's going to be a good majority of Eagles fans at any given stadium at any time,
Yeah,
but you got to see some huge plays too while you're there in person.
Bro. 5 rows back from the field. I threw a couple of pictures up online. You could see like how close I was to the field.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
Yeah, man, it was just I don't even know where to begin. So the game starts. The Commanders get the ball. It's like from the beginning. As soon as they get the ball, Carson, like unanimous, just going around. The
Yeah.
dudes was like, "You suck, you're garbage," all kind of stuff. I mean, it was just going in on this dude from the beginning of the game. I saw pregame. He went over and talked to some of the Eagles players, dapped him up and everything, and they were at least nice to him. But when that game started, boy, man, they were killing.
Oh yeah, it was hunting season,
bro. They was pounding them. The 2 plays of the game, there were a lot of great plays, but the 2 plays of the game were the 2 big Devontae Smith catches, and also you have to throw in that Dallas Goedert should not have been, but was touchdown.
that screen.
Yeah, that was crazy. I cannot believe he scored off it. We were sitting there like, what? Is he? Ah! And then the Commanders fans were like, that's how they were. Like,
they had a rough day.
They did, man. They were just like crying and complaining about every call.
Mm-hmm.
So Hurts drops back, man. I'm looking, I'm like, all right, I see Brown on the underneath route. I see Goddard on the in-between. But Smith is streaking down the sideline. So he throw the ball. He gets the catch. I feel like, truthfully speaking, he may not have got both feet down and bounce.
Yeah, if Ron Rivera would have actually thrown that challenge flag in time, it probably would have got called back.
But they did the hurry up. And then also they had to look at the different angles, because if you first look, it looks like he caught the ball. But then when they showed like the third replay, it looked like it was questionable. It wasn't like a definitive he didn't catch it, but it was questionable. So I was like, But he waited too long. So by the time he threw the flag, the play had already started. And then once the play started, you can't challenge it again. So we ended up, just getting 3 off that. They get the ball. We get the 3 and out. We get the ball back. We're marching down. They stop us. They get the ball back. Carson fumbles. Get the ball. After that bad 4th down, I want to say one of the worst play calls I've seen this year was that 4th down call.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking.
And I'm sitting there thinking, why did you do that? Another play that we're in the stadium that everybody got quiet that was Eagles fan was the safety. Because we're sitting there and I'm talking to the Commanders fans beside me. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a run play. It's not going to work well. And they're like, there's no way they were running from there. I was like, watch.
And they used Boston Scott out of all players. Like, why would you use Boston Scott there?
Well, the thing is, we don't have a big back. So in those situations, I would rather like a screen or let Hurts take off.
Yeah.
Like a design QB run, because he's a bigger body than all of our running backs.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
a couple yards.
Yeah. The thing is, it wasn't a good play call. It kind of almost was bad that we stopped them where we did. Well, not bad because they didn't get in the end zone, but just because it put us in that sort of situation. But Carson was rattled all night. He was under pressure the whole game. He was attempting to run, and even the Commanders fan was like, "You can't run, bro. You're not fast. Like, you need to stop."
Yeah, that dude lost all of his juice whenever he left Philly. As far as like running, he lost it all, man.
Yeah, he just, holding the ball too long, and then
way too long.
Think about the sacks. There were 9 sacks, but not even just the sacks. There was like 6 or 7, 8 other times where it was like an incompletion because they got to him, but he was able to get his arm forward and get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
Overall, it's one of the most dominant performances I've seen. I normally go to this particular game every year, but this was one of the most dominant performances defensively from start to finish. The 2-point conversion was we shouldn't let that happen. The safety, I should say, we shouldn't let that happen. What's up, Key? Shout you out, Key in the building. She's been on the show before. Appreciate you watching, Key.
Hey,
much
Key.
Love. Now, where things got real juicy was AJ Brown had a lot of good catches throughout the game, man. The touchdown he had, that was a perfectly thrown ball through a window of defenders. Great zip on it. Hurts was moving, man. His eyes was calculating everything. He was altering plays at the line. The second touchdown to Devontae Smith at the end of the first half, that was actually not the called play. And I saw the interview that Hurts had where he was saying that wasn't the called play, but that's what we figured.
They didn't even have it in the game plan that week. that was just something that he had. They just pulled out at that last minute.
Yep, because they said we didn't have time to get a play in, we didn't have time to do anything else, so I called an audible that I knew, and we went with the play, and it ended up getting a touchdown. Now the big catch to Devontae Smith the other way, because the first one would be where I was sitting, coming from my left down the field. So the second one in the second quarter would be the right up the field. So he drops back, clean pocket. I mean, Sunday he was protected. Like, I mean, a couple times in the first game where I was like, he's back there running for his life a few plays. He was protected well for the majority of this game, as well as you can expect a quarterback to be protected.
Exactly, Key.
I'm going to have to agree with Key. Yeah, I love that he can make the changes to the line. And technically year 3, but really year 2 as a starter. But it's exciting to see the growth and to see the confidence, And I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys saw a lot of that watching the game on TV as well. But just being there, hearing the plays, hearing the audibles, hearing how hyped those guys was, how down the Commanders' side was, and I was sitting behind the Commanders' bench, so it was pretty funny to watch some of the guys and people were then yelling at they were like, Del Rio, you suck, you racist piece of trash. And these were Commanders fans. They hate Jack Del Rio. They completely hate that guy. But yeah, it was just great, man. But that throw, he throws the ball. I'm like, that's a good throw. I'm gonna see what happens. And then I see Smith go up. He grabs the ball. He comes down with it. Everybody stands up. Everybody's chilling. Everybody's yelling. He doesn't get up. Silence. We like,
got the air knocked out. He landed flat on his back, man.
Yeah,
you need a couple minutes to recuperate from that one.
Yeah, and whenever I see that, especially with a guy his size, I'm like, scared a little bit, But he was good. He was good. So he was able to roll back in after that, man, and then just take over. And then you think about the missed opportunity on the holding call on AJ Brown. AJ Brown does not get held on that. It's real crazy. What's going on, Mo? Mo's joining us in the comments tonight as well. Not able to be on, but he's able to join us in the comments. So definitely some serious hood on that, definitely. And then Key comes back with where I was going next, Skinny Batman.
Yeah, I was going to say you got to see him break out the capes here.
Skinny Batman.
During this game. I guess they're going to be doing it going forward now.
Yep.
Darius Slay started a movement there. Like a couple years ago, we had the dog masks and, everything. Now we got, the Batmans on the and the special teams there. Those players, the receiving players. It's awesome, man. And I was just waiting for them to get the ball to Quez in the end zone, so he could wear that Batman cape.
But man, what was great about the whole thing was how it came about. So they were talking to Darius Slay. He was like,
Darius Slay, yeah.
I actually found it for like $12 or $13 or something and ordered it. So they just have one like always on the sidelines. So whoever scores a touchdown gets to wear it. Slay is wild. I want y'all to know Darius Slay is a wild dude. Swole Batman.
There's like Swole Batman, Skinny Batman, and Fast Batman.
And it was crazy because Slay is wild, man. So he was talking about how he want to go play wide receiver, and we could put Smith at DB,
Yeah.
And he thinks he can have a better game than Devontae Smith did this past week.
I don't know. He needs to chill, especially with some of the scare that we had like in these past 2 games with him like hurting his back and possible like injury. Haven't really heard much about it since the game, so I'm guessing he's okay. But we'll see on the injury report coming up here in a couple of days.
Well, Smith is on the injury report.
I meant like Darius Slay.
Yeah, but Darius Slay, we know, he's prone to be on the injury report too. But hey, it's fine if you're on the injury report as long as it's just a Q, right?
Yeah.
As long as you don't see the O, we can work with it. But yeah, Kelsey did say that if they score on a screen pass, he's wearing the cape as Fat Batman. He actually should be wearing. He should have been wearing it because that screen to Goddard, man. What made it so crazy was it was like split. It was like split second. I don't know if it looks the same on TV, but Hurts was reading everything like a computer was just generating in his mind. It's like catch, look, throw, catch, hold it for 2 seconds. Nobody's there. Oh, go back over here. Boom. He's just letting it rip. He was running. The throws on the run looked a lot worse, but hey, You can't set the throw on the run. He was still getting where he needed to go. So for me, watching the game, there at the stadium, man, it was an amazing experience. But just to see the maturation of Jalen Hurts from game to game to game, it seems like it's getting better. He's making more plays with his arm. They took away the run from him for the most part. And I'm not mad at that because it allowed him to show what he can do with that cannon that he calls an arm.
That's what I was going to say. Like, these Hurts haters are in shambles after this game because he only had like 20 yards rushing. He killed this team with his arm. Like, this is exactly what everybody was been complaining about. Oh, he's noodle arm. He can't throw or whatever. He beat this team with his arm. He didn't even have to run that often. And the run game, we weren't really able to do much anyway. So it was up to all the weapons at our disposal, and he utilized pretty much all of them.
And you know what I got for the Hurts haters, right?
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
Yes, sir, man. Like you were saying, he just seems like he has way more poise and he's way more comfortable in that pocket and on the line. He's able to switch out plays. It seems like he's reading these defenses a little bit more. As you can see it on the TV when he's at the line, he's kind of seeing certain things that didn't seem like he was seeing last year. He's pointing like the mic and some of these other guys out and changing plays. And not only that, he's trusting his receivers. He's putting the ball out there for his receivers to get. And he's making a lot of throws we weren't seeing him make last year. And this is really exciting because he's throwing it across the middle. He's throwing it deep. We've been seeing so many deep balls through 3 weeks, man. It's like he had one to AJ Brown. He just overthrew it a little bit, but man, AJ would have been gone if he would have caught that one.
Yeah. On that one that you're talking about, and I'm a little jealous, Key. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. On the one that you're talking about, it looks kind of like an overthrow. He actually, AJ Brown got grabbed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it ended up being a penalty. So yeah, he got grabbed. That's why he missed that one. I was so mad because he was done. Like there was nobody in front of him. That was a very intelligent play by the defense, not letting him get that ball. But there's a couple of other things I want to remind the Hurts haters about, as well as those people who are doubtful of the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
And this is a message from Jalen Hurts to all the doubters and all the haters.
Acknowledge me. Woo! Woo!
For real, man. For real. And it just, he keeps getting better week after week. I don't know if you saw it. The story came out today, or it might have been yesterday, about Shane Steichen was in the building at NovaCare, I think it was Friday before the game. And it was like 8:00 at night. And Jalen Hurts comes knocking on his office door. Like, what's going on? How you doing? He's like, why are you here? You leaving? He's like, nope, I'm heading to the weight room, getting on the bike for a little while. It's like, dude, it's 8:00 at night and you're still here at the facility. Like, nobody else is here. And like Jalen Hurts is still putting that work in every single day from morning. They said his day starts at like 6 a.m. and then he's still there at like 8 p.m. Man, like, this is why he's playing like this, man. He's put this type of work in, and it seems like he's doing everything possible to get better. At pretty much any key level that, people were complaining about, or like the media was complaining about, and just stuff that he needed to work on in general, especially, coming off that loss in Tampa Bay. Man, it blows my mind how much he's improved in just one offseason. It's crazy.
Yeah, just think about the possibilities, man. Just, obviously you can't make this much of a jump in another off season because you won't have that much of a jump to make. I mean, still room for improvement, don't get me wrong, but doing a lot better. But I just want to say this. I want to get it out early. It may happen again, but I want to get it out early. Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate, haters. The Philadelphia Eagles are 3-0 and being ranked by almost everyone, except for a few haters, as the best team in the NFL.
What the Rock is cooking.
It feels good, man. Like, I know it's only going into week 4, but man, there's really not much to be like worried about as of right now, other than if you really want to nitpick, is just letting the foot off the gas in these second halves, man. Like, I know you're blowing these teams out, which is great. You want to have a great offense and your defense is playing amazing. But man, you could be putting up these points like crazy, but you're just letting the foot off the gas, going into these runs that aren't working, doing some screen passes here and there, just kind of running some time off the clock. When, man, you should just be driving down that field and just putting up more points. Why not? Like, why worry about the other team coming back at any given point if you don't have to,
Yeah, I'm concerned with that. I've talked about it in weeks past, as you have. Definitely concerned with that. To address what Key is saying, that she wants to wait to pay him after the 4th season. So you get to think there's 2 ways that you can pay him.
Yeah.
You have the current contract that runs through the end of next season. So you could just do what's an extension, a simple extension where you say you still have to play out the next year. But after that, that's when the money kicks in. The other one is you could pay him after this year and kind of absorb the final year of the rookie deal into the next contract, which would allow more flexibility for the cap, and you can kind of pick the years that the cap gets the worst hit for it. Live wire, what's going on, man? Appreciate you tuning in as well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For me, I don't have a preference. I know we're still early in the season, but this is something that we should have been talking about the offseason, but we had to spend the whole offseason defending QB1 because so many haters from everywhere.
Hopefully we still don't have to do that in this offseason. We just got to worry about getting the next pieces, to build this team up even more.
Because, even if we win the Super Bowl, they better be like, oh, in the Super Bowl, he missed a pass in the 3rd quarter.
I was going to say,
Dallas Goedert's feet, and he had to dive for it. And if he had made that a better throw, then we would have won by 2 touchdowns. You know how these Eagles fans get sometimes, man. They have hate for a particular individual.
He runs too early. He doesn't try to find the open person. Like, man, come on.
Yeah, he can't throw. He doesn't have power in his arm. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, like, are you watching the same person I'm watching?
Yeah.
Like I said this offseason, to me, accuracy on the deep balls, reading the defenses, things that were improved, you were able to improve upon because you just get better as a player. Those were the type of things that we needed to see him do. But just to hop back over to what Key was saying, I do agree you don't want to pay him too early because you don't want him to get the Carson mentality. But I have to say, I think he's very different mentally. Yeah. What I love the most about him is after the game, he's in the locker room talking to his team, being a leader, repping that C hard, saying, hey, guys, we got to win. It's great. I'm happy we got to win, but we got to be better. We've got to put points up in the second half. We need to continue to extend drives even in the second half and get points. You look at this. This is a team that has scored, 3 points, I think, in the second half all season.
Yeah.
So you're getting out to big leads, but at the end of the day, you still have to do what you need to do to make sense. So Mo says, I get the conservative play calling when you have a healthy lead. Less room for error or letting anyone back in the game. I'm sure if we need to put up more points, they're more than capable.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say as well, is it seems like in the Vikings game and a little bit towards the end of this one, it seems like when they had to, they were kind of able to move the ball when they wanted to. It makes you feel like, say, if they had to, if they're playing one of the top teams in the NFL, they would be able to sustain that for a whole game. It's just these couple games, we were in a situation where we didn't have to. We didn't have to put some plays out there that maybe some of these teams haven't seen yet, if we don't have to, which you can kind of understand it from both sides. It's just a little concerning this early in the season. Like, why are we kind of shutting down in the back half of these games? But I don't know. And I guess they're taking player health into consideration as well. You don't want to risk a lot of bodies out there if you don't have to on some big plays. Try to play a little bit more conservative, but I don't know. We'll see once we have to play deep into these games, what's going to happen.
So for me, it's a sense of showing the completeness of a football team.
Yeah.
Right. We've been plagued in the past with being a second half team.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're turning into a first half team. And I'm not saying you go out and you give away all your trick plays, you give away all the things. You were playing against the defense you had on their heels. You could have continued to do the plays you were running, some screen plays, things that you do all the time. Try to get down and at least put up some field goals. Like, we're not putting points on the board in the second half. So if you're playing against a team that can withstand the barrage that we're putting out in the first half, we're not used to doing it in the second half. We're not used to being in those situations. I get injuries. That's why you have a group of people. I felt like on the last like 2 drives, I felt like the starter shouldn't have even been in the game anymore. I feel like once you had the game won, you should have just took them out, put in the backups. But my thing is, if you're in the game, you should be still playing to win.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be times where you're going to have to play where you're going to still have to play tough, where you're still going to have to be mentally prepared deep into the fourth quarter. If that's not the preparation you're used to in game days, then how can we ask a team of guys to just turn it on when they haven't been asked to turn it on for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many weeks? So my thing is, just go out in the second half and, okay, if you want to be more protective of the ball, which how can you really be protective of the ball in the NFL? But if you want to be more protective of the ball, then go to more of a run game. Go to more of a short pass screen game. I mean, turnovers will happen, things will happen, but we're here to try to, but I always say, there's 2 things that we need to do. We need to do what Key said when she was on the show. We need to get a bowling ball with legs for those situations like when we were by the goal line and we had to go for the fourth because we couldn't get the yards, and when we were in the end zone and we ended up with the safety. The second thing we need to do, we need to make sure at all times that we are playing this game like it's the last game we're going to play. That's what I'm saying. Go out there, lay it on the line. Go out there and lay it on the line. Put your foot on their throat every game.
Yeah,
people say
it should have looked like the Bills-Titans game, like week 2, when the Bills like dropped 40 or something and Titans could barely put up any points. It should have looked like that.
Yep. Now, Key, like I told you, I will give you credit, but I am stealing the bowling ball with feet. I love it. I'm stealing it. I will give you a credit because you are the originator.
It's true, though. If you could add a power back like that, that makes the run game even more dominant. I mean, if you had a power back in this game, you probably would have been able to get that run game going a little bit more.
And see, that brings me to what I wanted to say. The other thing next. So, great game, we won, but what areas do you see that we can improve?
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, trying to pick it up and do something in the second half a little bit. And also, we need to, even though if the defensive line on the other side is shutting the run down, you can't completely go away from it. I mean, I think, what did Miles Sanders end up with? He ended up with 46 yards, averaging 3.1 per carry, and Jalen Hurts only had 20, and that was about it. You got to do something, come up with some different looks, but you can't just go full pass all the time. Like, I know the receivers were kind of having a field day with the banged up Washington defense, but you got to kind of be a little bit neutral here at some point, especially if you're going to slow down in the back half. Do something a little bit more original with the run game instead of trying to do the same couple plays. It seemed like, at least from watching on the TV, but I don't know. They just didn't do more. And that just comes back to the main thing about doing more in the second half. As far as defense, I didn't really have much to complain about other than just kind of going very soft towards the end. But man, they had a hell of a game. 9 sacks is incredible. Like, I think the last time we had like over 6 sacks or like that dominant of a game was like 2004. I think I had that here. Oh no, it was like the last time the Eagles held consecutive teams to 8 points or fewer was in 2004, which just happened with the Vikings and of course here with Washington. So we're getting a lot of crazy stats coming out of these first couple weeks. With this Eagles team, this seems like an Eagles team we haven't seen maybe ever. Like, so as far as like how dominant they could be on offense and defense, if they play to their potential each week, I'm still, and I know we said this last week, Jonathan Gannon, he bought himself another week. Well, you're buying yourself another week this time, but I'm still going to be weary about you. I'm still going, like, we're only 4 weeks in. You're going to have one or two of these games that it's just going to be completely awful. And I'm fully expecting it. I just don't know when it's going to happen. But hey, I hope he proves me wrong because it's been going very well since that Lions game on the defensive side.
Yeah, it definitely has. We just good, man. We're good right now. We're playing good right now. We're doing what needs to be done at the moment now. Does that continue? That's the hope, but I'm not unrealistic enough to not understand that at any time, that's something that could change. A bad game or two, and things look a lot different. I also just want to say, and if you have any more thoughts, feel free to give them. But it's all good. But a couple of comments here, so I want to get to those.
Yeah.
So Mo comes with the please get the bowling ball. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, we still have some time till that trade deadline. Who knows how he could be cooking up?
Right. Miles either needs more touches or needs to be more effective with what it's getting. It's got to be more touches. You can't expect it to be effective with that many small touches, in the game.
Yeah.
Key hits us with the 99 problems, but Wentz ain't one. Oh, my sister.
Oh, I think you muted. I can't hear you.
My bad. I muted myself.
I know you could.
That is so great that there is something that I must say to that. I just got to find it. Hold on here. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Oh, my brother, testify.
I got to give you that for that one. I love that one. All right. And then, just with the balance will be necessary against better teams for sure.
Exactly.
And then only gave up 2 touchdowns in 8 quarters. That is an impressive stat. Right? JG, we friends for now.
For now. I got my eye on him, though.
And I hear Madison might be available soon. So you might hear that, Mo, but I'm going to tell you something about the whole thing with Madison. Dalvin Cook never stays healthy, right? He's never out for the whole season, but he never stays healthy. When we were talking about running backs in the offseason that don't stay healthy, he should have been on that list because he does not stay healthy. Madison is a monster for those games that Cook is not available. If I were the Vikings, and this is another one of those hot takes that a lot of people may not like. If I were the Vikings, I would move on from Dalvin Cook and keep Alexander Madison as my starter and go draft a backup to play behind him. Yeah. Not that Cook is not a better overall back, but every time Madison plays for him, he gets big plays, he gets a touchdown. So if you're going to give that up, knowing that your top guy is another Christian McCaffrey, several other people, that's a decision that you're making. But I wouldn't mind grabbing him.
Great insurance policy to have.
I would not mind grabbing him.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Or Kareem Hunt, man.
Let's not even go into that. Let's not even go into that, sir. Don't even get me started because we only got about 26 more minutes, and I can go into that for about 45 easy.
Just like the Jay stuff, man, like how it happened 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the season, man. Kareem Hunt, one of these days just pops up, traded the field. That'd be wild, man. You never know.
He does want. I think there's at least a part of him that wants to come to Philadelphia. And I know for one, I ain't talking about everybody else, but I would love to have him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now, depending on how the rest of the season turns, how the rest of the season turns out, I mean, up until the trade deadline, you're going to really start seeing what some of these teams are. And if they're not going well and they're not looking good, they may be sellers by the trade deadline. And that's where Howie kind of, sticks it to these teams.
Yeah.
Gets them for a bag of chips or whatever, how Jay Ajayi. But I don't know, man. I could definitely see. I have a feeling how he's going to make a move before that trade deadline. It's just a matter of for what. Because I know they really kind of want to get behind Miles Sanders, and it's really looked like that here throughout these first couple weeks. They've been really trying to push him heavy, and then maybe towards the end of the half, going into the half or going towards the end of the game, that's when they kind of put Boston Scott or Kenny Gainwell in there. But I would love to have Kareem Hunt if we were able to scoop him. That would be amazing. But with everything that's going on with this team so far, as long as you can finish the season strong, Philadelphia is going to be a hot destination for some free agents going forward.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to come to Philly right now? Well, but I'll tell you this. I'll say this real simple. We don't need another Vince Young here. We don't need nobody over talking about no dream team or superstar team.
No.
and all that. So just to be very clear, Miles, Mr. Booby Sanders, let's just do it on the field. Let's zip it up off the field, bro. Let's not even do that. We do need the big bat. We definitely need that. I think it'll happen. Just got to give it time. Like you said, I think it'll happen. We got to give it time.
Yeah.
And Key agrees with you how we can always get deals. I do agree, man. He has a penchant for that. That's a part of him being GM that I've never had an issue with. For me personally, I don't want to speak for anybody, but for me, it's always been the drafting and getting the right people to develop players. The two positions I've always lamented about, cornerback and wide receiver. Those have been the two positions that I felt like we have not done a good job of developing people in. He says, I'm taking him to the dealership to get me a deal. Hey, I'm going to come with y'all. Give me one too, real talk. Because I think he's good. He's very good at that, like I said. But it seems like he's improving in the other part, or at least listening to the people who are better at that part of the job than him. So whatever's happening, I'm happy with it. I'm good with it. Let's just continue to keep it going. As far as this game's going, I'm going to wrap up my thoughts. And then, of course, feel free to give your thoughts as well, man. But great game. Areas that need to be fixed, but we don't play in the offseason anymore. So there are going to be things that, you're going to need to work on throughout the games because the starters don't even really play, like, one or two drives at the most. So you're still working on, really week 3 being the end of the preseason, honestly. Like your 4th game in the preseason because they don't play at all. And so I think you're going to get some slow starts from teams that'll be good. You'll get some fast starts from teams who may not be that good. I really believe Philly as of week 3. And I want to make sure I make that clear. As of week 3, Philadelphia is playing really well, and they're a team who can go deep in the playoffs. Now, we're going to transition to the other game after you give whatever your final thoughts on this one. But as of week 3, finishing that game, Philadelphia looks like a team that is dangerous and probably is the top team in the NFC right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely a top team in the NFC. Obviously, we're top in the NFC East right now. It's good, man. It feels great to be an Eagles fan. I know everybody's hype especially going into this week 4 matchup we're going to be talking about. Don't really have too much to talk about as far as the game that we didn't already cover. Just a couple things I wanted to hit before we go into the next game, though. Jalen Hurts has as many 300 passing yard games this season already than he did last year. So that that's mind blowing already. Through only 3 games, he has just as many 300-yard games as last season. That's wild. That just shows improvement right there. And last thing is just a little bit of news here. They're going to be unveiling the black helmets coming up on Sunday Night Football in week 12 against the Packers. And they're also going to be using them on Christmas Eve against Dallas and week 18 against the Giants. So that's when we're going to get the first look at these all black helmets that we haven't seen yet.
Yep. So I wanted to there's a couple of other things I wanted to say at the end here. So I want to congratulate AJ Brown. Right now with 309 passing yards that he has, he's passed JJ Arcega-Whiteside for 290th on the Eagles all-time receiving yards list after 3 games. So congratulations on that accomplishment, that mini accomplishment, AJ Brown. And also, we didn't last week. Don't remember if we shouted out Big Play Slay for being Defensive Player of the Week. So big ups to him for that. And then also this week, Brandon Graham, back-to-back Eagles NFC Defensive Players of the Week. So tell me this defense is not good. And all that means is you're not watching.
Zach McPherson was Special Teams Player of the Week in week 1. So we've had a Player of the Week every week so far.
All right, so we got a multi-part question here from Key. What do we think about Jordan Davis? And should he get more reps? So I'll let you answer that one first. Why I've been going first all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he should definitely get more reps. And it seems like they're kind of increasing his workload each week. I didn't get the chance to see the reps from this game. But I mean, at least from seeing Jonathan Gannon's interviews and stuff, it seems like they're trying to slowly get him acclimated in and figuring out what he does well and what he doesn't. I know that he said that they're going to move him down a little bit on the line there because of that, the penalty that he had. I think he hit hit the holder or something. I forget what the actual like penalty was. But it seems like they're just kind of slowly getting him in there. I know a lot of people were kind of worried about Nakobe Dean, like not playing at all, just on special teams. But that's really more a product of just being behind a pretty strong linebacker group right now that the Eagles are having. They're playing very well. So I wouldn't be worried about Nakobe Dean, because who knows what's going to happen in this next year or so if we're able to keep all these guys around. But I'm sure he's going to be a focal point going forward for years to come here in Philly. So is Jordan Davis, though. I mean, I feel like by mid-season point, going through the back half, he'll be a regular part of that rotating defensive line.
Yeah, I think it's to get him the snaps, you have to take the snaps away from somebody else. And I think that's where they're struggling to get him on the field more. I don't think it's anything that he's not doing. I just think you have a lot of guys that have been there, like, Whiteside and different players have been there. So you kind of feel comfortable with them. You got Graham back. But we think with the injury, right, it's opening up more reps that he would probably get more. But I think you have to take other guys off to put him on. So that might be a part of the struggle. But like you said, I think as the season goes on and he gets more comfortable with the difference between being a, SEC defensive lineman to being an NFL defensive lineman, because there is a jump. You can say there's not, but there is. You look at Devontae Smith last year, same thing.
Yeah.
There's always a jump. So I think as he gets more acclimated to that, Dean as well, you'll see them be in the rotations, which will give us more depth in case we do have, injuries. You want to always prepare for injuries. And that's what I think was the big thing about the draft, was preparing for injuries. So very, happy about that as well, that though we have guys that we can actually sit and be like, oh, why aren't we playing this guy now? Where in years past, it's always been, oh, we need to play this guy. He can't be any worse than who we already have out there. Like, for real, last few years have been kind of tough, especially with depth. So excited that we do have that, that depth there now, where we can have young guys that can actually sit and learn. You want guys to play, but at the same time, learning by watching is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. And I think that's what we're getting right now from those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah. Definitely agree, man.
And I could go on for another 20 minutes just about the game this last week. All right, but I'm not, because we do have some other things we need to discuss. Primarily, we've got a game coming up.
Well, a familiar friend.
Yep, with old big Dougie P making his return to Philadelphia.
Should be the complete opposite of the Washington game with Carson. It should be. We should be cheering Dougie P when he runs onto the field with that team. No boos, please.
Yeah, the beef that Doug Peterson has is with the front office. It's not with us as fans. He was always good. I never had a problem with his coach as a fan. Some decisions, a little questionable, but he won us our Super Bowl. You've got to get him in, some love for that. So I definitely think he deserves that. He's going to know some of the things that we do, but a lot's changed. Obviously, it's been years since he's been a coach. It's been a couple of years, so a lot of things, turnover on the team, different players. But I think it'll be good to have him back in, and I do hope that he gets a warm reception. Now, I will say this. If he gets a warm reception at the beginning of the game and he gets booed after that, I'm good with that too.
Yeah, I can understand that, because once it hits game time when they're playing, I mean, it's fair game at that point, I feel.
Yeah, you are the enemy at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna go a little bit different today and talk about some different things with the two teams. So offense, the Eagles are ranked first right now. The Jaguars are ranked 6th, and this is total offense. Total defense, Giants are ranked 7th. I said Giants. The Eagles are ranked 7th. The Jaguars are ranked 15th. Passing offense, 3rd for the Eagles, 10th for the Jags, which is interesting. Rushing, 7th for the Eagles, 10th for the Jags. So these are some stats, some things I saw from NFL.com that were interesting to me. And the reason that they're interesting to me is we see that we talk a lot about Jacksonville. We talk a lot of people say, the Eagles don't play anybody. Jacksonville ain't nobody either, and blah, blah, blah. But the stats tell a different story. The top 15 in all 4 of those stat categories, right?
Yeah.
Let's go and talk about the quarterbacks. Let's compare the quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, 69.4% completion, 772 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Jalen Hurts, 67.3% completion, 916 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And truthfully, the interception is really not his fault, but he's the quarterback that threw it. So we know who's winning yards. They're even in They're even in interceptions. Touchdowns, Lawrence is winning, but when it comes to yards, Hurts is the guy. So talk to me, why? What do you think about this? Those stats about where the defenses and offenses both rank, as well as the quarterbacks, and how honestly, besides the yards, they're pretty close, and the yards aren't too far apart either. They're pretty close in all of the categories. So do you think that? And we'll just go to quarterback battle right now. Do you think that that's something where there's a explicit winner in that category between the two quarterbacks?
I mean, they kind of play different games as well, different styles. I mean, obviously, because I'm a homer, I'm gonna pick like Jalen Hurts, but but I mean, the Jaguars as a whole, I feel like they're on their way up. They're trending upwards at this point, and I think all the bad misfortune stuff they had last year was mainly in part due to their terrible head coach at the time. So with an actual competent head coach there in Jacksonville, it seems like they can actually put together a decent game plan and go out there and compete against these teams. They went out and blew the doors off of the Colts the other week. They just went out and got another win here this week. So, I mean, it seems like they're able to put it together, through the air and all. They also got Robinson, who's killing it on the ground as well. So I think this could be a team that could kind of sneak up and catch us. This is a game I could see us like any other year. This is kind of a trap game. I could see us like any other year, us blowing this game to Jacksonville. I think this is going to be a test for us. And it's kind of similar to that Lions game week 1, where we thought, oh yeah, we're going to run all over the Lions, but it's probably going to be a good game. I even know how hot the defense has been for us lately, I think they're going to have their hands full with this one. I don't think they're going to be a pushover similar to the Washington or even how Minnesota was. We thought Minnesota was going to be dominant as well, but they weren't. So hopefully the defense plays just as well. But man, Trevor Lawrence, it seems like he's looking like that quarterback that everybody thought he was coming out of the draft.
Well, he's got the young QB whisperer as his coach, so that does make a difference.
Exactly. So it seems like he could just get better and better as the season goes on. But if we're not careful, he could slice and dice us though in this game.
This is very true. Somo says he will get booed anyways. Philly stop playing, laugh out loud. Probably so.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah. This will probably be the most challenging game so far. I know Detroit was close, but it really wasn't. I mean, I think it was close, but I think this one
Detroit
will be more.
Been having good games since then, though. They're looking like a decent team.
Yeah. And then he says, rushing touchdowns. Hold on, sir. We are comparing just the passing for the quarterbacks right now. And he says QB rushing yards. We're not comparing those things because we know who has the edge in that. There's one guy that's been called a running back that plays quarterback. So we know that he's going to have the better stats in those categories. See, what I want us to do as Eagles fans is to start to look at Jalen Hurts as a passer and the running as a bonus. And let's stop trying to add all of the running in with his passing, because that helps make that argument for the other side. What I want is my quarterback QB1 to be seen as a quarterback who can run. Not a dual threat quarterback, but a passing quarterback who can run. And he's got 900 yards through 3 games. If he keeps on this pace, I'm not even going to tell you the number, but let's just say it's very, very nice and very high. But yeah, I wanted to specifically pull those stats out to talk about, just because those are the comparisons, right? Mm-hmm. We add the running, we know which way that goes. But to me, that's now become a piece of who Jalen Hurts is as a quarterback and not a major piece anymore. So I'm excited about that. So that's why I kind of did that the way I did that. So for rushing.
Well, can I say something before you move on quick?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, to really answer your question, though, what you're saying about the passing yards and the touchdowns, it really says that Trevor Lawrence can get it done in the red zone. He's pretty proficient there, but Jalen Hurts can move the ball. He can take you all the way downfield. And that's really what it's trying to tell you, which is exactly what you want. Where I'm sure Jalen Hurts can throw touchdowns just like Trevor Lawrence can, but can Trevor Lawrence drive the field? Because through these 3 games, we've been getting pinned back pretty far in all these games so far, and we're able to make 80-yard drives and get touchdowns almost every time that we need to. So I think that really tells you what you need to know out of these 2 quarterbacks.
And we've been doing it in 15 plays or less a lot of times too. So that's
exactly
big piece there, definitely. But we'll go over top rushers and top passers together. So the top rushers for the Jags, James Robinson, 51 attempts, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. So that's a lot of yards for a running back. So that's telling me kind of what you're saying. Lawrence is getting it done at times, but they're definitely heavily leaning on the run game as well. And then Travis Etienne has 26 attempts for 112 yards. So both of those guys are getting a lot of attempts.
Yeah.
Then we go to their wide receivers. Christian Kirk, 18 receptions, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not bad numbers. I gave the Jaguars a lot of grief for how much they paid this dude in the offseason. They still overpaid him for what he had done previous to this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then Zay Jones has 19 receptions for 173 yards and 1 touchdown. So now we're going to go over to the Eagles to talk about our top 2 rushers. So, Mo, this is where you're going to get some of those questions you were talking about answered. Miles Sanders is our top rusher, 45 attempts, 222 yards, 1 touchdown. Remember, all last year he didn't get a touchdown. He's already got 1 this year. Jalen Hurts is our second runner, 37 attempts, 167 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So you may say, man, it's a lot of attempts to only have 167 yards. Well, remember, every time he gets sacked, that's a negative rush.
Yeah, true.
So that number is going to always be low if you have a mobile quarterback for the average, especially after the game that he had and got sacked a couple of times. Receivers, we know who the 2 guys are. We just need the stats. We know who the top 2 are. There's no question about it. A.J. Brown, mind you, did not really do too much in the second or the third game compared to what he did in the first game. This dude already has, just like I said earlier, 309 yards on 20 receptions and a touchdown. Yeah. Devontae Smith, monster game, but this stat will trip you out. He still only has 15 receptions for 249 yards after that monster game. So that tells you how much, even outside of the main 2 guys for our team, and probably the same for Jacksonville, haven't followed them as closely. So many other guys are getting a catch here, a catch there. One other thing I want to shout out, and I'll get your thoughts on both of these, and I'll give you guys my thoughts as well. One more thing I want to shout out on this is Zach Pascal. Talked about him all offseason. When he's in the game, he's chipping. He's running routes. He'll run the disturbing routes to allow another guy to break away from the defender and get open or bust through that double team. He can make the catches when he needs to. He's a great blocker as a wide receiver. He's everything I wanted him to be when he came to Philadelphia. So shout out to Zach Pascal, because I actually feel like he's the reason that guys like Brown, Smith, Quez, when he does have his opportunities to get off. And when you're a deep threat, sometimes you get off and sometimes you don't. So we understand that.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons they're able to do what they do is because you have that guy that does the dirty work in Zach Pascal, but still makes the plays when you need him to.
Yeah, it's exactly what Sirianni saw in him in Indianapolis, and that's the reason why he brought him over here. And I mean, that was a lot of the talk about why they brought him as well. And it's great to see that it's actually showing up on the field.
Absolutely, man. So your thoughts on, it's not that much difference between the rushing yards or the passing yards, but just your thoughts on, do you feel like one team or the other has an advantage rushing the ball or passing the ball, and why?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, because I think we clearly have the advantage as far as passing and going through the air. And really, depending on who you talk to, you could say that either team has the advantage as far as running. Because I mean, James Robinson, he's like that power back, that bullet ball back we were talking about. He's able to bust through the line and go off on some big runs. But I mean, with Trevor Lawrence, he's not really a mobile quarterback. as much as like Jalen Hurts is. Whereas like you can get Miles Sanders and then you could have a play break up and then Jalen Hurts takes off for like 15, 20 yards as well. Yeah. So, I mean, it really depends on who you talk to, who can kill you as far as the run game. So I think this defense, if the secondary really shows up like they have been, we can shut their passing game down and have them have to lean on that run game. And then eventually they're going to have to try to beat us through the air at some point. And my guess is that's what we're going to try to do, is try to shut it down. That way they have to run the ball until, then they have to pass at some point. I don't know. I think this is going to have to be a good defensive game on our part. I think the offense is going to be doing what it's been doing over the past couple of weeks, because we haven't really seen that dip in the offense other than just kind of us letting the foot off the gas. It's more so about that defense. Can they keep up that consistent high level of play like they have been, especially through a team that can slice and dice you and burn you on the ground? Philly has been getting better with its tackles here lately. We aren't missing as many tackles these past couple games. Hopefully that keeps going into this game as well, or James Robinson can be burning us and who knows what else. But this should be a winnable game. I think it can be close though, depending on if the defense shows up or Jonathan Gannon has a good defensive plan.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and I'll address both comments here. So if a defense is playing anything close to what they appear, Jags won't be able to score with us. Well, that's hard to say because the Jags have scored on some teams that were supposed to have good defenses, and they put up some solid points. And think about it, we've only been putting up like 24 because we're not scoring in the second half. So if we go in there, we do that against Jacksonville, even if we put up a little bit more in the first half, they're going to have a whole second half. And I'm only basing on what I've seen so far this year to possibly catch up.
Yeah.
Maybe time for the fastest man on the planet to have a monster game.
Maybe.
Another reference to Quez Watkins' comments in the preseason. Very hilarious. Loved it. Lighthearted. And, it kind of made sense for who he seems to be. And then scary weapons. Yeah, I think there's scary weapons actually on both sides. I think, honestly, if we're looking at the running game, because they have thunder and lightning, I would have to say Jacksonville has the lead in that department because they do have their thunder and lightning, right?
Yeah.
They have their Lindale White and Reggie Bush. Reference some of y'all might get, some of you may not. But real crazy that they have two guys that are that good, because Etienne was out all last year. James Robinson had a monster year. I wasn't sure during fantasy drafts how that was going to play out, so I kind of steered away from both of them. But they're making it work so far, and they may continue to make it work. But I always get a little leery with backfields that have multiple guys. I don't have my running back either. I don't have Miles Sanders in the leagues for the same reason. Yeah. But I think when we look at the passing game, including tight end and the depth, I definitely have to say Philly has an advantage. Even though Marvin Jones is a really good receiver and here's their third receiver, I just don't see their tight end position being as good. And I think we have a little bit more depth at the wide receiver position as well, as far as guys that are, of some quality. So I'd give us a little edge there. I think both quarterbacks are playing well. So it's going to come down to, I believe Doug Peterson's calling the plays. So it's going to come into Doug Peterson versus Shane Steichen as far as whose offense is going to be able, to make things happen. The defenses are defenses. We don't need to spend a lot of time talking about defenses. Straight up, you come out, you play, you adjust to what's happening. A defense can go into a game with the whole game plan laid out and just scrap by the third play of the game. Because you don't necessarily know how the other team's going to play. You're just looking at what you've seen so far and probably take from last year, even though they're a different, coaching staff, you still have to have some history. So I think a defense, you go in, you kind of see what the team's going to do to you, and then you look at the plays that you have that you feel like can affect that. So I don't think the defensive rankings matter as much this early in the season because we don't have enough of a sample size. But I do think the offensive numbers are kind of flush, meaning that they're going to be very similar throughout the season. So I look at it and I say, okay, defensively, more work to do. Both teams, but especially ours, because we're still gelling. We still have pieces like we were talking about earlier. Some of our young pieces need to get more reps. McPherson needs to be on the field more. If someone gets hurt, he's going to be a guy that we're going to turn to and lean on. So why not get him live reps now? So those are things that we have to start looking at as well. while it's important to continue to put our foot on the throat in the second half so that other guys can get into the game. Britton Covey, we bring him up for special teams. Why can't he get a few catches?
Yeah.
Why
not? Like, why just use him for special teams,
Yep. Another pick for big play Slay. Hey, I would not disagree with that. I feel like he's gonna get a couple of picks this past week.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Yeah, being the QB, but it just didn't happen, man. So Wyatt, the floor is yours, man. Your thoughts on this Jacksonville game?
Yeah, and I mean, another key, I know you mentioned about like defense and stuff, but like another key is just getting pressure, whether you get rushed with 4 guys or 5. I'm not expecting 9 sacks. You're not going to be going against a banged up Washington offensive line. But man, I think that's going to be a big key is this, because I mean, Trevor Lawrence is still kind of a green quarterback in the league. If you get some pressure on him, he's going to make some dumb decisions. So start doing that. And it seems like Gannon's been getting a little bit more comfortable with blitzing a little bit more. And even in Washington, we didn't have to send 5 guys a lot or bring the linebackers down. They were getting through with 4 guys sometimes. So maybe they're just kind of getting used to the game, getting up to game speed now 3-4 weeks in. Maybe that defensive line can really start eating here and he's going forward through the rest of the season. I feel like that's going to be a big factor as far as defense, because I'm confident with Slay and Bradbury and some of the the linebackers and safeties at this point. Can we get some consistency week by week with this defensive line? That's really what I'm going to be looking for in this game, because we know we can get out of the offense at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to all the other Eagles content creators, man. We're not the show that's hating on everybody else to be whatever, man. Nothing but love for everybody out there. I watch a lot of the shows as well. Get some good points from those guys. They see things differently than I do sometimes. Sometimes, they're in a different stratosphere, but hey, that's the whole point. We're all, one fan base. This is the elite show. This is where you come to be elite, but there's other shows. They do their thing. Very good shows as well. So definitely check out other Eagles content creators that you see, man. But on Wednesday nights, this is where you need to be. Why tell everybody where they can find you, man?
Yeah, man. You can find me on Twitter at Squad Pod Sports and Cinema Trip Views, as well as on YouTube at Waste 5 Media and Cinema Trip Reviews. And that's about it, man.
Well, I'll just go through the shows, man. NFC Beast on Saturday nights, that and Play Call Saturday night 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that Play Callers Sports Talk show on Friday nights at 7 p.m. You can find both of those on playcallersportstalk.com/live. You can also find the NFC Beast on playcallersportstalk.com/Eagles Elite, which is another way that you can get directly to this YouTube page. Now, Tuesday nights, NFL matchup madness. All 32 teams, every matchup every week. We're talking about them. So definitely would invite people to come there and check that out. Whatever team you're a fan of, we got something there for you. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat tonight. Everybody's watching live. Everybody that watches plays. We do this because we love the team, man. We don't do this to slight anyone else. We don't do this to, excuse me. We don't do this, for any of those reasons. It's love for the team, man. We want to be an outlet. All year, we talking Eagles every week. Whatever's happening, we hear. If it's the off season, we will come up with things to talk to you about. The content is there because the team is the team. So just make sure you're tuning in every week, guys. New things happening. We're going to have a guest for you next week, maybe multiple guests. We'll see how that plans out. But in the meantime, we just got to make sure that we drop a little bit of this cold sports drip on you to end the show.
The kick is away, and the kick it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
And if I did forget one thing, guys, I want to make sure to throw this out there every week. playcollegesportstalk.com/fanatics. If you're purchasing any NFL memorabilia, go and use your boy's site. Let's get a little bit of kickback money. Help keep the lights on these shows. Help keep things moving. Appreciate y'all. Hashtag be elite. Fly Eagles fly. See y'all next week.
It's like the Arizona 4-0, baby.